What is going on, boys? So I just saw a leak for Avengers Doomsday that I really wish I did not see, okay? Not because it was ass, but actually because it looked pretty incredible, in my opinion. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but let's just say it's a crazy team-up scene, not something I could imagine was supposed to be in the trailer. I mean, maybe. I think they're gonna try really hard to sell this movie, partly because I think it's their last chance at saving the MCU, but also because I think they're very confident in this movie, as am I, by the way. I think this movie's gonna be a banger. But regardless, just because I can't wait to see this movie, and even though I think it's going to be great, I, like many people, don't want to see things get leaked. I mean, it's tricky because when you're that excited for a film and a leak pops up on your feed, it's very hard to resist, at least for myself. It really depends, especially because the closer we get to a release date, I tend to not care and actively avoid leaks. But for a movie like this, where we haven't even gotten a trailer, any first glimpse is hard to resist. And I thought this was a trailer leak at first, because recently a Spider-Man Brand New Day leak was floating around, but it was a leak for their next trailer. Now, I don't think this is okay either, but I don't really mind it because it's still only footage the studio wants us to see. Because although I know Sony is taking care of Spider-Man, I think Marvel in general does a great job at not spoiling the movies with their trailers. Other than the recent batch of garbage MCU movies, excluding Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, I think it's actually a good way to kind of determine a studio's confidence. If they are showing you a lot of footage in the trailer, it's because they just want to show you all the good parts and shit, they don't have that much confidence. But if they're just showing you, like the typical Avengers kind of trailers where they don't show us too much, then they're confident in that movie. Anyway, not only did I see this scene that I don't think I was supposed to, it's extremely low quality, probably the worst looking leak I've ever seen in my life. And you can tell that not even the VFX are finished in parts of it. So to see that for the first time in the way I did, it's definitely my fault. I chose to watch it, but it's hard not to when it floods my feed on X. Honestly, I just wish I didn't know that it existed. And I bring that question to you as well. Am I right in saying it's hard to resist a leak from really anything, whether that's a movie, TV show, video game, or even an album that you're excited for when it floods your feed for an entire night or even multiple days? Because I'm sure there have been leaks like this all the time. Sometimes these leaks are actually leaked on purpose by the studio to gauge the public's reaction, and we will come back to that. But it seems nowadays they just happen so often and they're just everywhere. They end up everywhere. But why does it even matter? Why do we even care? Why do we avoid spoilers? If you're gonna watch it anyway, why does it matter if you see something you'd see in the movie anyway? It is kind of weird because if it's something you don't care about, then you don't mind seeing a leak. But oddly enough, when it's something you do care about, it's almost as if it ruins it for you. Like you don't want to see anything having to do with the one thing you're dying to see. And to me, it really is as if it ruins something about it for me. It's like hearing a good joke. The reason anything makes us laugh in the first place is because it's our body's response to being completely caught off guard in a sense, where we didn't see that coming. And a good joke has a good build up, and a good comedian has good comedic timing. These things lead you to the punchline, which is supposed to get a certain reaction out of you. In this example, it would be a laugh. And the only reason you laugh is because you don't expect it, And then now there's nuance to that. Sometimes we remember a funny memory and it makes us laugh in the present. But usually a laugh is more reactive and even uncontrollable sometimes. A spoiler for a movie is exactly the same thing. It's like hearing the punchline for a joke before hearing the exact same joke. Now it depends. Right now, I'm strictly speaking on leaked footage. You get all types of leaks though, whether that's plot leaks, set leaks, some sort of cosmetic leak, trailer leaks, whatever it may be. The thing is, at this point, many fandoms can see the smallest thing and put together damn near an entire movie's plot from that. And I am being hyperbolic, but there are many leaks that spoil entire plot points. Or one leak can inadvertently confirm another leak that ends up lining up with an older leak, and it gets crazy. But it doesn't seem like many people actually care, as in there's really a market for leaks and people actively looking for them and some even relying on them. I mean, how many YouTube accounts are strictly revolving around movie news where they're discussing leaks like every day? And they're fun to discuss, don't get me wrong. And I think there's a difference between a potential leak and a full-on like here's a clip from the movie kind of leak. Because for example, I bring up Avengers Doomsday. When it comes to a movie like that, for whatever reason, it's just fun to discuss leaks and theories and all that. I'm not sure why, but I swear if you're online as much as I am, you tend to know way too much about a movie before it comes out, and everything you know is from the fans discussing theories that ultimately use leaks as their basis. I think it's way more fun to discuss theories, period. But again, again, nowadays many theories come from leaks. And like I said before, you could have a year-long span of leaks dropped months apart that end up lining up with each other. So this process and this whole shebang will almost literally start at a film's announcement, which may have already been leaked, all the way up until release. And with the algorithms working the way they do, any social media that you use knows that you are interested in this movie. And we're just using movies, for example. And they don't care if it's a leak. They just know it's something you'd be interested in and something that will keep you on the app. So you just get ambushed by these leaks, especially if it's footage. And then you'll have the discourse around the footage being discussed on something like X, maybe. And you see a screenshot from the leak you didn't want to see as a quoted tweet. And it becomes almost unavoidable. Because sure, there are ways to force these apps not to show you something. You can see a list of what it considers your interest and remove anything having to do with the movie or show you're interested in. But then you don't get to see just regular discourse or regular updates regarding that piece of media. So then you become a hostage to this shit, man. And maybe that's no big deal at all, because I never see anyone condemn a leaker. You know, they're almost non-existent. They're almost not even a factor in all of this, because the leak itself is what is valuable. The leaker could literally be anything and anyone. You know, nobody really cares. It could be too harsh to say that these kind of things are ruining media, because for my situation where I saw the Doomsday leak, it didn't make me less excited for the movie at all. If anything, it made me even more excited. So what does that mean? You know, another example I want to go over is Spider-Man No Way Home. If you're a fan, you know how crazy it was, bro. It's like this movie was being investigated to no end, you know? People were just looking for anything that they could just report back to the boys, you know? Anything they could find. You have that whole Andrew Garfield set pick that got dissected to holy hell, and it was just insane. Ultimately, I went into that movie knowing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were going to be in the movie. Now, to be fair, the studio didn't do itself any favors by dropping certain scenes in the trailer that didn't make any sense unless those two Spider-Men were in the movie. But yeah, so I already knew they would be in the movie somehow. Didn't know what role they would play, how long they'd be in the film, you know, no details necessarily. But my only frame of reference is going into that movie knowing they would be in it. And honestly, it was still super cool when they finally showed up, and it didn't ruin it for me necessarily, but I can only imagine what my reaction and experience would have been like had I not known. I mean, I probably would have shit my pants on the spot. But that was taken from me, bro. And yes, I could have definitely done more to avoid spoilers in that situation as well. But like I said earlier, sometimes the leaks start coming from the moment a movie is announced or even before, up until obviously the movie comes out and we get to see what's actually happening. So are we supposed to just go off the grid for over a year, or in Doomsday's case, multiple years? Of course not. I think this is just the reality that we live in now, and it's unavoidable. Even the first Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer initially leaked with watermarks and all sorts of shit on the screen, and everyone was talking about whoever leaked this is fucked, and they're right, but I don't think these leakers really care. It's funny because I don't see much of a benefit. Like, there's potentially zero monetary value or benefit from leaking footage as a test audience member, or however these people get their hands on it. It's just for the love of the game, I guess. Now, we've talked mostly about movie leaks, and you can really throw TV into anything I said about that as well, but what about a game, you know, a video game leak? Let's take GTA 6, for example. You know, there was a very big leak for this game, and see, something like that I think is pretty inconsequential because it's just gameplay footage, and not only that, it's almost always incomplete gameplay footage, so the graphics are nowhere near what they'll be on release, just as they were for Wolverine. There was a huge Insomniac leak a couple years ago, and again, to put that into perspective, the very first trailer for the game only just came out within the last couple months, and we just saw full gameplay only a couple weeks ago. But this leak I'm referencing came out around late 2023, I believe. Again, I think it's not as detrimental to your experience playing the game, because as long as it doesn't spoil anything crazy, it's really just an early look at a video game. And I think it's very unfair and actually pointless to start critiquing a video game from a leak, because it doesn't mean anything. You know, seeing gameplay for a game that's years out and complaining the graphics look like dog shit is literally pointless. Now, the interesting twist to all of this is I believe studios have begun to use leaks as a marketing strategy, probably many years ago, and use them, as I said before, to gauge the public's reaction or just to straight up build hype around whatever they're leaking. Because the undeniable truth about leaks is they do build up hype. As much as I may have trashed on leaks in this video, it's undeniable that they do start conversations and build hype, especially around movies. So overall, I think it's actually a very interesting discussion, and that's why I wanted to bring this discussion here and see what you guys think. Do you even care about leaks? Do you watch videos and partake in discussions revolving around these leaks? Do you actively avoid them? You know, let me know in the comments below, man. And please like the video if you enjoyed watching, and have a good day, man. Peace.